Tim Witzman, and welcome back to Wichita's Biz That Is, and our guests today, Trish Brasted and Gary Oborny. And you were talking about plans. Planning always sounds interesting to me when you got a bunch of entrepreneurs, but I'm going to throw something at you. When I was younger, I did planning type activities, and over time, my brain has turned to strategies way more important than the plan. Do you have any comment on that?
You bet, because in most situations, whether it be in business or an organization, you may look out 3 years, 5 years, and the further you look out with your plan, probably the higher possibilities of being off of that plan or having error. And as we well know, best laid plans of mice and men, they don't always work out. And so I think strategy, I agree with that. Strategy and focus and execution are important. And sometimes maybe you don't make exactly the best decision, but at least you made a decision and you activate, and then you can change your course or evolve your course as you go along. So I would totally agree with that.
Well, the one I always go back to is General Ulysses Grant. He's just taken over the Army of the Potomac. He's headed down to take on Lee. Lincoln has a guy with him. And so he's going to attack Lee. All the others who've done it have run back with their tail between their legs. They had a good plan, didn't work, they went home. And so he asked Grant, what are you going to do if your plan doesn't work? And Grant, who's whittling, says, then I'll do the other thing. Like, big deal. His strategy was to engage him and keep him engaged. Mm-hmm. You know, today's plan, big deal.
Yeah.
I can change that.
Agreed, and you can only plan so much in a business or any situation, and after that you have to kind of make it up as you go along, because your whole decision-making factors are going to change what you're going to base on. So, agreed.
Good entrepreneurs figure out what to do next. I always tell my entrepreneurs, the plan you've got today will be wrong tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's all about adjusting to the execution of what happens the next day.
Sure.
What kinds of areas do you see? You're always looking for that critical mass. Do we have some areas where we might get critical mass here?
You mean from an industry focus? I think software and IT has always been something that, if you go back to the Porter study that was done, because of aviation, they focused and they actually told us where some of our other strengths lie, right, from a cluster standpoint. So we do have some competencies, healthcare, medical devices, software and IT. So there's some low-hanging fruit and some opportunity that we have a critical mass in from a knowledge base and an execution base that we can capitalize on.
And I think we have some IT engineering, especially out at Wichita State. We've got a tremendous department out there. And what we need to do is really fully engage from the business community to be able to really get with them and try to take projects off the shelf and activate them and get them going, turn them into companies. And so I think with Dr. Bardo, he's very focused on doing that. I give him kudos. It's really been a breath of fresh air, and he's trying to move things forward at light speed. And so that's what we need.
Has everyone figured out how that interface is going to work? Like, who's key from out there? Is it back to what you said earlier with the entrepreneurship school and the engineering?
I think Dr. Bordeaux has a couple of lieutenants that he's relying fairly heavily on. I think John Tomlin in my area, because he heads up research and tech transfer and commercialization, so I interface with John. I think that's key. We're going to have a new business dean and a new center director, so there's still some changes on the board to come about. So. I think it's to be seen.
Well, and I think he's also out in the community engaging with all the different organizations that are trying to move entrepreneurship forward. Mm-hmm. And so he's figuring out how can we work together, how are there some synergies, and how can we start to work to try to push this forward. So he's doing a great job out in the community too.
Okay. Let's come back to the unconference.
Okay.
Let's go over some details on that again, and then perhaps go into what are the expectations, What is success with this conference?
Sure. Well, so just sort of let me lay out the day. We're hoping, and our anticipation is that we're going to get about 400 people there. Hopefully at least a couple hundred entrepreneurs, and then the others will be those that support the ecosystem around entrepreneurs. It's about action. We're going to have 3 breakout sessions. Those topics will be determined in the morning, there will be 4 concurrent sessions going on at a time. So there will actually be 12 topic rooms. So we'll have 12
How many
topics.
times will those concurrents be repeated, or?
No, there'll be 12 new. Now, I say that the beauty of this day is it'll be driven by whatever happens in the morning. If we get so many people interested in a certain topic and we're overlapping and we feel like the people are like, wait a minute, there's 2 I want to go to. We have the flexibility to make those content rooms however we want for those pieces. And so this could be stuff like creating and keeping talent, how to start your business, where do I find funding, mentoring, or it could be even community stuff such as how do we make Wichita an entrepreneurial community again, or how do we brand our community again?
How do you, when you don't have a program set in the morning and you're going to have the concurrent sessions, how do you have the sort of leadership in each of those sessions?
Well, we have resource leaders that have been identified, and that work kind of goes on up to that day because we've got the content. That's one of the reasons why the website's up and we're driving people there now. So we'll kind of have an idea when we get there in the morning what the hot areas are that people want to talk about. So we'll make sure that we have content experts in the room that will help facilitate and lead the sessions, as well as making sure that we're driving people into those rooms that have value to add within those topics.
Okay. And result, if this is a success, what comes out of it?
Very clearly, we're activating entrepreneurials to start companies, and those companies then hire people to work in their companies. So very, very simple task, a 1, 2, 3 task, and we achieve that. I think that's a success.
I agree. It's time to start something big in Wichita. We're trying to do it, trying to get everybody talking about what needs to be done so that they can go out and actually and get things moving. We're ready to make some plans.
Well, I must say it is refreshing to not hear the same old bromides about economic development and to see that focus, particularly on the local companies, because there's tremendous potential there. Well, I thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And wish you the greatest success with the Unconference. And we'll be back in another week with Wichita's Biz That Is.